These reggae stars had the world in their hands with a massive hit song. So what went wrong? From teenage superstars who just went back to school to a singer who vanished for 25 years before making an unbelievable comeback, these are the stories you've never heard. 1. Althea and Donna, Uptown Top Ranking. Let's rewind to the 1972nd in Jamaica. The reggae sound was taking over, and two teenage girls, Althea Forrest and Donna Reed, were right in the middle of it. Althea was just 17, and Donna was 18. They weren't professional singers, they were just two friends messing around in a recording studio. They recorded a song called Uptown Top Ranking, and it was all about being cool, fashionable young women in Kingston who didn't need a fancy man to feel important. The song was cool, confident, and incredibly catchy. Here's the kicker: the song blew up. It wasn't just big in Jamaica, it traveled all the way to the United Kingdom and hit #1 on the charts. Think about that. Two teenagers with their very first song knocked huge rock bands off the top spot. They were famous overnight. They even performed on the legendary British music show Top of the Pops. Everyone thought they were going to be the next big female reggae duo. But what happened next? Nothing. After releasing one album, they just stopped. Truth be told, they were never trying to be pop stars. They were young students who stumbled into fame. The pressure was a lot to handle, and they decided that a normal life was better than a famous one. They both went back to school, got regular jobs, and raised families. They gave the world one perfect, rebellious reggae anthem and then just walked away, leaving a musical mystery in their wake. It's one thing for two teenagers to choose a quiet life over stardom. It's another thing when a grown woman creates a global hit with a similar confident message, only to vanish from the international stage just as quickly. 2. Sophia George, Chi Girly Girly. Fast forward to the mid-1982nd. A new sound called dancehall was bubbling up in Jamaica, and a teacher named Sophia George decided to try her hand at singing. She recorded a song called Girly Girly, and it was an instant smash. The song was a playful warning to a man who was a little too popular with the ladies. Sophia's fun, catchy delivery and the bouncy beat made the song impossible not to dance to. It was pure fun in a 3-minute package. The song didn't just stay in Jamaica. It became a massive international hit, especially in the United Kingdom, where it climbed into the top 10. Sophia George became a household name for a moment. The music video was everywhere, showing her cool, confident style. She released an album, also called Girly Girly, and everyone expected her to follow up with more hits. She had the voice, the look, and a song that everyone loved, but that next huge hit never came. She released other songs in Jamaica, but none of them captured the world's attention like Girly Girly. So what happened to the woman behind the iconic track? Well, a few years after her big moment in the sun, Sophia George decided to move from Jamaica to the United States. She settled down in Los Angeles and later in Miami, choosing to focus on her family instead of chasing another chart topper. She proved she could conquer the world with one song, and for her, that was enough. Sophia George's hit was playful and fun. But our next song tackled a much more serious topic, becoming an anthem for rebels everywhere, even though the man who sang it remained a mystery to most of the world. 3. Junior Murvin, Police and Thieves. In 1976, a singer named Junior Murvin walked into the studio of the legendary producer Lee "Scratch" Perry. He had a song he had written called Police and Thieves. The song was about the tension and violence on the streets of Kingston. With his incredible high-pitched voice, almost like a falsetto, he sang about a world where it was hard to tell the good guys from the bad guys. The result was a haunting, powerful, and deeply moving piece of roots reggae. The song was a big deal in the reggae community, but it found a whole new audience in a very unexpected place, England. The punk rock movement was exploding, and these young, angry kids felt a connection to the song's rebellious spirit. A famous punk band called The Clash heard the song and decided to record their own version. Their cover became a huge hit, and suddenly everyone wanted to hear the original. Junior Murvin's voice was suddenly on radios all over the world. You would think this would make him a global superstar. He had one of the most iconic reggae songs of all time. He continued to record music for decades and was a respected figure in Jamaica. Truth be told, however, he never had another song that crossed over to the mainstream in the same way. He was a true reggae artist who wasn't looking for pop fame. He just wanted to make music that meant something. He passed away in 2013, leaving behind a legacy as the man with the golden voice who created an eternal anthem of rebellion. Junior Murvin's hit was a slow, thoughtful groove. Our next artist exploded onto the scene nearly 20 years later with a song so energetic it was impossible to stand still, creating a #1 hit that was here today and gone tomorrow. 4. Ini Kamoze, Here Comes the Hot Stepper. Let's jump to the 92nd. The sound of reggae and dancehall was everywhere, mixing with hip-hop and pop music. Out of nowhere came a song that took over the entire planet. The song was Here Comes the Hot Stepper, and the artist was Ini Kamoze. The track was a high-energy monster. It had a rumbling bass line, a catchy chorus, and a super cool, confident vocal performance. A hot stepper is a Jamaican term for a man on the run from the law, and the song made that sound like the coolest thing in the world. The song was more than a hit, it was a phenomenon. It went to #1 in the United States, Denmark, New Zealand, and was a top 10 hit in dozens of other countries. It was in movies, on television shows, and you couldn't escape it on the radio. Ini Kamoze, a veteran reggae artist who had been making music since the early 82nd, was suddenly one of the biggest stars in the world. He had finally gotten his moment. So where did he go? This is where the story gets interesting. Here Comes the Hot Stepper was so huge, so defining, that it was almost impossible to follow. He had created a perfect pop moment. After the song's massive success, he did release more music, but it was closer to his reggae roots and didn't have the same pop appeal. For the mainstream world, it seemed like he just vanished. The truth is, he never stopped working, but he was a victim of his own massive success. He gave the world a song that defined a year, and that one song became his entire story for millions of people. Creating a hit after years of working is one thing. But what about an artist who had a hit in the 60-second, disappeared for decades, and then came back to record the same song and make it a worldwide smash all over again? 5. Dawn Penn, You Don't Love Me. No, no. This is one of the wildest stories in music history. Back in 1967, a young singer named Dawn Penn recorded a song called You Don't Love Me. It was a good song, a minor hit in Jamaica, but nothing huge. Disappointed with her music career, Dawn Penn did something drastic. She left Jamaica, moved to the Virgin Islands, and completely quit the music business. For almost 25 years, she lived a quiet, normal life, and the world forgot all about her. Fast forward to the early 1992nd. Some producers in Jamaica remembered her old song and convinced her to come back and re-record it. She was hesitant, but she agreed. This new version, titled You Don't Love Me, No, 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 was magic. It was slower, moodier, and her voice, now older and more world-weary, was filled with incredible emotion and power. The song's raw heartbreak was something everyone could feel. This time, the song didn't just become a hit, it became a global anthem. It shot up the charts in the United States, the UK, and all over Europe. It was a massive success. A song she recorded as a young woman came back almost 30 years later to make her a star. She started touring the world and released a successful album. While she never had another hit of that size, she didn't disappear again. She proved that it's never too late to get a second chance, creating one of the greatest comeback stories ever and a timeless classic of heartbreak. A comeback after 25 years is amazing. But our next act was a duo that dropped a single song so perfect for summertime parties that it took over the airwaves, only to have their mainstream fame fade with the season. 6. Tanto Metro and Devontae, Everyone Falls in Love.
Yo! I'm just giving out songs!
Picture it, the late 1992nd. The dancehall reggae sound was crossing over into pop music in a big way. At the front of that wave was a duo from Jamaica, Tanto Metro and Devontae. Tanto Metro was the fast-talking DJ, and Devontae was the smooth singer. Together, they created a song that was pure sunshine, a track called Everyone Falls in Love. It had a super catchy keyboard melody, a fun, bouncy rhythm, and a message that was impossible to resist. The song was a monster hit. It climbed the charts in the United States, and its music video was played constantly on television. It was the kind of song you would hear at every barbecue, pool party, and school dance. The chemistry between the two artists was perfect. They seemed like they had the formula for creating hit after hit. They were fun, they were talented, and they had captured a moment perfectly. Everyone thought they were going to be the next big crossover duo, like Shaggy or Shabba Ranks. But then what happened? While they remained very popular in the hardcore dancehall scene in Jamaica and released many more albums together, they never managed to catch lightning in a bottle again on the international pop charts. Everyone Falls in Love was a unique moment where their sound perfectly matched what the mainstream was looking for. They were not a one-trick pony in their own world, but for the millions who danced to their one big hit, they became the sound of one perfect summer, and then the music faded. That duo had a clean, fun image. Our next artist was a female powerhouse with a much tougher style who was set to take over the world, but her time at the top was surprisingly brief. 7. Patra, Worker Man. In the mid-92nd, the world of dancehall was mostly ruled by men. Then came Patra. She was a Jamaican artist with a powerful voice, a bold style, and tons of attitude. She wasn't just a singer, she was a presence. Her breakout hit was a song called Worker Man, and it was a commanding, powerful track. The song was a demand for a partner who could keep up with her, and she delivered it with incredible confidence over a heavy, grinding dancehall beat. Worker Man became a big hit, especially in the United States. It charted on the Billboard Hot 100 and got a lot of radio play. The music video showcased her unique fashion and powerful energy, and it was clear she was a star. She was positioned as the Queen of the Pack, the new female voice of dancehall. She released an album that also did well, and it featured collaborations with other big artists. Everything seemed to be pointing towards a long and successful reign. However, the massive follow-up hit that would have made her a superstar never quite materialized. She had other songs that were popular, like a cover of Pull Up to the Bumper, but Worker Man remained her signature song, the one that everyone remembers. Behind the scenes, there were reports of disagreements with her record label about her musical direction. After her second album didn't do as well, she seemed to step back from the mainstream spotlight. She still makes music and performs, but for the wider world, she remains the iconic Worker Man singer who burst onto the scene with incredible force and then mysteriously faded from view. Patra was a genuine Jamaican artist. Our next artist had the biggest reggae-style hit of the 92nd, but here's the secret: he wasn't Jamaican at all. 8. Snow, Informer.
What's up, man? Hey, yo, what's going on, yo?
Get ready for one of the strangest stories in 90-second music. In 1992, a song called Informer came out of nowhere and completely took over the world. It was a fast-talking rap reggae hybrid with a beat that you couldn't get out of your head. The song went to #1 in a dozen countries, including the United States, where it stayed at the top spot for an incredible 7 weeks. The artist was a man named Snow. Everyone assumed Snow was a Jamaican artist. He had the right sound, the right style of chatting on the microphone. But here is the massive twist. Snow was not from Kingston, Jamaica. He was a white guy named Darren O'Brien from Toronto, Canada. This was mind-blowing to people at the time, and the story got even crazier. He said he wrote the song while he was in jail on an assault charge, which was later dropped. The song was about how he couldn't be an informer and snitch on anyone. With a story that wild and a hit that big, you would think he was set for life. He was a worldwide celebrity. But the problem with Informer was that it was a total novelty. It was so unique and so tied to its strange backstory that it was almost impossible to repeat. He released other songs, but the public had moved on. He became the ultimate definition of a one-hit wonder. A Canadian kid who, for 1 year, convinced the entire world he was a Jamaican superstar and created one of the most memorable and bizarre hits of the decade. Snow's hit was a mix of reggae and rap. Our next artist specialized in taking famous rock songs and giving them a smooth Jamaican twist. And it worked, at least once. 9. Shinehead, Jamaican in New York.
Yo! Oi, man! Yo!
In the early 92nd, the artist Sting had a huge, classy hit called Englishman in New York. It was a song about feeling like a sophisticated outsider. A few years later, a reggae artist named Shinehead had a brilliant idea. He took that very song and flipped it, turning it into Jamaican in New York. He kept the famous melody and some of the original lyrics, but changed the story to be about the experience of a Jamaican immigrant living in the big city. The result was pure magic. Shinehead was an incredibly talented performer. He could sing smoothly one moment and then switch to energetic dancehall, toasting the next. The song was a massive hit, especially in Europe and the UK. It was clever, it was respectful to the original song, but it was also completely its own thing. It celebrated Jamaican culture and pride in a way that was new and exciting for the pop charts. The music video was stylish, and Shinehead seemed like a new kind of reggae star, one who could easily blend different worlds. He had everything going for him, a huge, smart hit song and a ton of talent. He had been a well-respected artist in the New York reggae scene for years before his big hit. So why wasn't he able to produce another one on that scale? Part of the reason might be that Jamaican in New York was such a specific and brilliant idea. It was a cover song, and sometimes it's hard for an artist to escape the shadow of a famous cover. He continued to release great music, but he was forever known as the Jamaican in New York, a master of reinvention who, for one shining moment, ruled the airwaves. Shinehead gave a rock song a reggae flavor. Our next artist took an old pop song from the 62nd and supercharged it with 90-second energy to create a feel-good anthem. 10. C.J. Lewis, Sweets for My Sweet. The mid-1992nd in the UK were all about pop reggae. It was a lighter, sunnier version of the music that was perfect for the radio. A British artist named C.J. Lewis became one of the biggest faces of this movement with his song Sweets for My Sweet. Now, this song wasn't new. It was originally a hit for a band called The Drifters way back in the 62nd. But C.J. Lewis completely reinvented it for the 92nd. He took the classic melody and infused it with a modern, upbeat reggae beat and added his own rap-style verses. The song was pure, infectious joy. It was the kind of track that just made you feel good. It became a huge hit, reaching the top 3 in the UK charts and doing well all across Europe and in Australia and New Zealand. For the summer of 1994, you could not escape the happy sounds of C.J. Lewis. He was young, he was cool, and he was on top of the pop world. He quickly released an album and had a few other moderate hits, like a cover of another classic song, Best of My Love, but none of them came close to the massive success of Sweets for My Sweet. His style of pop reggae was very popular for a specific moment in play, time. As musical tastes began to change, his sound became less fashionable. He was the king of the summer, but when the season changed, so did his luck on the charts. leaving him as a memorable one-hit wonder from the feel-good 90-second. 11. Tenor Saw, Ring the Alarm, 1985. In 1985, the world of Jamaican music was changed forever by a song called Ring the Alarm. The song was built on a famous electronic reggae rhythm called Stalag 17. A young singer with a unique, powerful voice named Tenor Saw grabbed the microphone and created a masterpiece. The song was a battle cry, a declaration that a new sound and a new generation were taking over the dance hall. His vocal style, known as the Sleng Teng style, was revolutionary. Ring the Alarm became one of the most important and influential songs in dancehall history. It is still played constantly today. It's a foundational track that every reggae fan knows by heart. Tenor Saw was hailed as a genius, a visionary who was pushing the music forward. He was young, gifted, and seemed to have an incredibly bright future ahead of him. He was the voice of the future. But the story takes a deeply tragic turn. Just a few years after his massive hit, Tenor Saw passed away at the incredibly young age of 21. His life was cut short under mysterious and heartbreaking circumstances while he was in the United States. He was gone before he ever had the chance to follow up on his incredible success. He left behind a handful of amazing songs, but Ring the Alarm is his monument. It's a song full of life and energy, made all the more powerful and sad by the story of the young genius who created it and left us far too soon. 12. Wayne Wade, Lady, 1980. The year is 1980, and the American singer Kenny Rogers has a massive, slow, romantic ballad called Lady. It's a huge hit everywhere. All the way over in Jamaica, a reggae singer named Wayne Wade heard the song and decided he could do something special with it. He took the sweet, loving lyrics and set them to a deep, heavy, classic reggae rhythm known as rockers. The result was stunning. Wayne Wade's reggae version of Lady was a monster hit in the reggae world. It was especially huge in the UK and Europe, where fans couldn't get enough of its unique sound. He transformed a cheesy American pop song into something soulful, cool, and deeply romantic in a completely different way. His smooth voice floated over the heavy bass and drums, creating a version that, for many reggae fans, is even better than the original. It was the perfect blend of American pop and Jamaican soul. Wayne Wade had been singing since he was a teenager, but Lady was the song that made his name known around the world. He was a talented singer with a great voice for romantic songs, a style known as lovers rock. You would think that such a huge and clever hit would lead to a string of others just like it. While he continued to record and perform for years and is a well-respected name in the lovers rock scene, he never managed to capture that same level of international magic again. He remains the man who took a cowboy's love song and turned it into reggae gold. 13. Clint Eastwood and General Saint, Iyangai, Stop That Train, 1983. Let's go back to the UK in the early 1982nd. A musical duo named Clint Eastwood, not the famous actor, and General Saint were making waves. Clint was the DJ, the fast talker, and the General was the singer. They found an old Jamaican song from the 1962nd called Stop That Train and decided to give it a modern, high-energy update. They mixed reggae, ska, and pop into a sound that was all their own. Their version of Stop That Train was a runaway success. It was fun, frantic, and full of charisma. The back and forth between Clint's toasting and Saint's singing was electric. The song was a massive hit in the UK, climbing into the top 10 and staying on the radio for months. They became stars, known for their energetic live performances and their matching suits. They were the faces of a fun, new wave of British reggae music. They released an album that did very well and had a few other minor hits, but the train, it seems, had left the station. Stop That Train was their one huge, defining song. As is often the case, the duo eventually went their separate ways to pursue solo projects. They would reunite over the years to perform their big hit for nostalgic fans, but the magic of that one song was impossible to recreate. They captured a moment in time perfectly, and that one song has kept them on the musical map for decades. Our next artist also had a playful style and a huge hit with a song that was basically a phone conversation set to music. 14. Tippa Irie, Hello Darling, 1986. Tippa Irie was one of the top DJs on the British reggae scene in the mid-82nd. He was known for his fast, clever rhymes and his positive vibes. He was a star in the clubs, but he was looking for a song that could cross over to the mainstream. He found it with a track called Hello Darling. The song was a duet, a playful musical argument between a man and a woman over the phone. The song was incredibly charming and funny. It told a story that everyone could relate to, about relationship troubles and misunderstandings. Tippa's energetic toasting mixed with the female singer's soulful replies made for a perfect combination. Hello Darling became a massive pop hit in the UK, climbing high on the charts. It was different from anything else on the radio. It was a reggae song that felt like a mini soap opera. Tippa Irie became a household name. He was a massive talent and a real pioneer of the UK dancehall sound. He even earned a Grammy nomination later in his career. So, why is he on this list? Because despite his long and respected career, Hello Darling remains his one and only major mainstream pop hit. It's the song everyone knows him for. He continued to be a huge star within the reggae world, but that one perfect, funny, and relatable song was his sole ticket to the top of the pop charts, a brilliant moment of crossover success. Our next artist was the opposite. She was a shy librarian who was discovered by one of reggae's greatest producers and made one of the most beloved songs of the 72nd. 15. Susan Cadogan, HS, Hurt So Good, 1975.
First you take my heart in the palm of your hand.
This story sounds like it's from a movie. Susan Cadogan was a quiet young woman working at a library at the University of the West Indies in Jamaica. She liked to sing, but she had no plans of being a professional musician. A friend convinced her to go to a recording studio. That studio just happened to be run by the legendary eccentric genius producer Lee Scratch Perry. Perry heard her sweet, innocent voice and knew he had found something special. He had her sing a cover of an American rhythm and blues song called Hurt So Good. He worked his studio magic, surrounding her gentle vocals with a dreamy, soulful reggae beat. The song was pure romance and heartbreak. It was released in Jamaica and did okay. But then a record label in the UK released it, and it exploded. Hurt So Good went all the way to the top 5 on the British charts. Suddenly, Susan Cadogan, the librarian, was a pop star. She had to take a leave of absence from her job to fly to London and perform on television. It was a whirlwind of unexpected fame. She recorded a full album with Lee Perry, which is now considered a classic, but Susan was never entirely comfortable with the pop star life. After her moment in the spotlight, she eventually returned to her quiet life and her job at the library. She gave the world one perfect dreamy song and a story that proves you can find talent in the most unexpected places. Susan's hit was a sweet love song. Our next artist's one big hit was a hilarious story about a run-in with the law, but the artist's own real-life story ended in a way that was anything but funny. 16. Smiley Culture, Police Officer, 1984. In 1984, an artist from South London named Smiley Culture burst onto the scene with a song that was completely unique. His name was David Emanuel, but everyone knew him as Smiley Culture. His hit song, Police Officer, wasn't really a song in the traditional sense. It was a funny, detailed story set to a reggae beat. He told the tale of being pulled over by the police while driving his car. Using different voices for himself and the officer, he acted out the entire scene. The track was brilliant. It was funny, it was clever, and it gave a voice to a common experience for many people in London at the time. The song was a massive hit, climbing to number 12 on the UK charts. Smiley Culture became an overnight sensation. He was praised for his witty lyrics and his amazing storytelling ability. He appeared on Top of the Pops and was a fresh new face in British music. He followed it up with another minor hit, but Police Officer was the song that defined him. He was a true pioneer, blending music and comedy in a way that influenced many future artists. But his story takes a very dark and tragic turn. Many years after his fame, in 2011, he passed away during a police raid on his home. The circumstances surrounding his death were controversial and led to a lot of public outcry. It was a deeply sad ending for an artist who brought so much joy and laughter with his one-of-a-kind hit song, a story that started with humor and ended in heartbreak.